Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me online. All right, so let's get started learning about writing on the web. First, you want to ask yourself, why are we writing online? Well, first, some of the more obvious reasons: direct audience interaction. You're able not only to hear what your audience has to say, but also, interact with them sometimes in real time. Um, let them know about immediate updates that could be flash sales, emergency press releases, or talking about something else, like if you're in the entertainment business, providing a movie trailer or announcement. And of course, you're able to analyze your audience's interaction with your writing as well as any posts. So that could mean comments from them as well as analytics, seeing which posts work a little better at what time of day, etc. And writing online can also provide a new outlet for traditional news. That means not only newspapers but TV and radio as well. So you're able to transform something that was previously only in one medium and make it into a faster delivery service, something that is globally available. Or maybe you want to completely start over and start with a brand new news organization. For example, like with HuffPost, they're an online only news website. So their target audience pretty much lives online. And of course, we do have magazines that have transformed into both physical and online content, as well as some that have decided to forego their original in-person form, and they're able to just be an online news group. There are also, of course, some groups with specialized content that are very similar to magazines but aren't technically considered a magazine. For example, the website The Spruce would probably have existed as a magazine pre-internet, but nowadays it's really more of a collection of not only blog posts and lists, but also other things that you might have seen in magazines beforehand. Now, let's talk about online media and the online audience. Now, whenever we look at our online audience, as some of you may know from your own experiences, a lot of times we're looking at someone who's looking for a very quick answer to something, whether it's a how to article about how to put something together, or if they're looking for an answer to a specific question, whatever it is. Usually, if you're going online, you're looking for the answer or the solution to your problem in a very quick format. So we're looking to provide that information in very short updates or in something that's very easy to navigate. Now, whenever we look at writing, there are a couple of different ways that you can write online. Now, if you decide to host your own website or blog, most of the time these are going to be privately owned. That means that you are you are the person in charge of all of the content on it. Usually you're going to have to deal with like monthly or annual fees for the website name, the domain, as well as any other like associated maintenance costs. Now, the good thing about owning your own website or blog is you're looking at the least number of restrictions. You also have, as we saw in chapter 8, probably the largest amount of freedoms whenever you're writing with using your own website or blog as your posting site. Now, when we talk about social media, one of the good things about it is you do have an immediate connection with an audience. Usually, there's a big built in factor when we talk about social media platforms, especially ones that are very interconnected, like the metaverse, as it's called now, Facebook, Instagram, Oculus. I forget what else they own, but you get the idea. So when you have all of those groups that are put together, you're able to automatically connect with using hashtags or either by friending or liking different people or organizations online. And that way people know about you right away. The one A couple of issues though, of course, would be that then you're depending on the algorithm for that particular social media group to transmit your information. It could be that they, change the way it's formatted and your posts are seen less and less by the people who are following you. And of course, you have to deal with sponsored content, banner ads, pushed information whenever people pay to have their information ranked higher, a lot of other things that you may not deal with if you own your own website. Now, that brings us to talking about content delivery. Whenever you write online, you have to figure out how your audience is going to receive your message. So that could be through social media posts, which, as we just discussed, are owned by another company and are probably the most restrictive way to post your content, where you're beholden to this other group. Or if you're hosting your own website and you want to interact directly with your audience, you could have an email listing, have your own app that they can download on their phone, or you could use something called RSS, which is really simple syndication. And that is a way for your audience to receive updates automatically. There are some apps where you can create or combine your own RSS feeds. There are also some drawbacks sometimes with using that, and where you might feel a little more comfortable with email. Of course, emails can end up in a spam folder, or of course, if you're posting content a little too often, people can always unsubscribe from emails. So, pros and cons for all of them. Now, let's talk about online formatting. Now, these are a few basics about writing for an online audience. And the first thing you want to think of is the viewing platform. You want your audience to be able to read your content easily. So think about how things look whenever they load on your phone, whether it's through a web browser or an app. Are they using a tablet, or are you expecting more of your audience to use a computer or an app? If they have to click through multiple links, then it's entirely possible that you'll lose your audience and they won't really want to continue looking at content on your website. And you also want to provide additional elements whenever you work online. It's one of the benefits of working in what's essentially a multimedia platform. You can add slideshows, images with text. You can include embedded videos or audio. There are just a plethora of ways for you to provide content and to organize it in a way that suits the information you're giving your audience. Let's take a quick look at a few of these examples. Now, as you can see in this NPR example, they start with an embedded audio clip. So, this is the original broadcast from this Life Kit group. And you can see that they start with their little droopy flower picture and they have an introductory paragraph. Then they go into some additional descriptions, and they're breaking up the content using subheadings. Now, there are some other links on here, and of course, if you open this in your phone web browser, it will look a little different, but in general, you're able to read how everything is formatted, see what's in here, all that kind of stuff. Now, in this next one, this is a WikiHow article. It's explaining how to give a reflexology massage. You can see they have some quick links here if we want to go straight to how to give a reflexology massage for feet. You can go straight there, or you can go to the content at the beginning talking about hands. And same deal, pretty much. We have all of our introductory information here. And then they break everything down using numbered step-by-step process and, of course, pictures. And finally, let's take a look at this article from Wired magazine. So this might be content that they would reprint in their actual physical magazine, or it could be something that they created just for their website. Whatever it was, they have a listing of the best fitness trackers, and they break down the information, as you can see, in a very similar way. We start out with our introduction with some of this information, and then they have photographs and subheadings with a few paragraphs for each one describing each watch in the listing. So you can see that they do have a kind of standardized format happening here. So each article was providing information in small segments. And if you look at some of the larger groupings of stories, you'll notice a lot of times, especially for themed shows, they'll have several stories that link into each other where they're providing information, related information, but it's provided in several different stories, so they're able to go into more detail. There's also that breakup of paragraphs and of essentially kind of like tiny parts of each story using headlines and subheadlines, so headings and subheadings. They also use images and video. You might even see bulleted lists, especially for lists where they're providing several short pieces of information or ideas. If you want to present several ideas together in a bulleted list, that's often a pretty good way to go, especially if you're doing kind of a step-by-step process or something. And of course, slideshows can come in handy as well whenever you want to present information that requires a lot of pictures. You'll see that on WebMD and some of those kinds of places. Now, whenever you update a page, so in general, it seems like it would be very easy to update a page, and in some ways it is. However, the way you update a story or the way you update a web page will vary based on the topic. Now, this could mean including edit dates. So if you publish something and then you want to provide an improvement, or you need to include a retraction or have other information that you need to fill in later on, like for example, whenever someone publishes breaking news, a lot of times they'll have multiple items that are published throughout the day on the same web page. However, later on, they might post more, um, a longer, easier to follow story online and provide some extra information and improvements. So, depending on what's happening, you would either repost the information, like write a new story and post it, or you might include edits and updates within your original web page. And of course, whatever you're writing, you want to provide sources. That is one of the great benefits of working online or working in a digital medium, is you do have the ability to link your sources. And however you link it, of course, you want to make sure that your links are still valid. And if you can, you may even want to include a PDF the with a digital copy of the content you're referring to. That way, if a web page is taken down or otherwise modified, you're able to still have a copy for your audience to see at a later date. Now, blogs and social media. Whenever you look at blogs and social media, there are three main ideas you want to think about. Now, first, of course, is your focus. So if you're publishing and creating your own website, then you probably want to focus on a specific topic. This could be a hobby, or maybe a web page or website that's focused on a certain set of values. It could be a subcategory within a particular interest. For example, if you're a photographer and you want to focus on black and white film photography, then that would be a specific category within an already somewhat defined category. Now, when we talk about depth and value, we're going to talk about them together a lot of times because you want to have a unified voice with your writing. That means making sure that you're including your the same type of feelings within all of your posts. And a lot of times your unified voice when you write online is going to be more of a mix of personal and professional, a little less dry than it would be for traditional news writing. And one way you can make sure that you're adding valuable content is to ensure that you're adding to a discussion. You don't want to echo the same thing everyone else is saying. And that's part of doing research and looking up your own information and finding your own sources as well, making sure that you're adding to what's out there instead of copying what everyone else is already doing, or even to keep you from copying yourself. And of course, if you're including any any stories that require a lot of depth, make sure that it's published probably on a few web pages or possibly even creating a specific website for that content. And if you have any outside sources you need to reference, use links, use a some way of referencing it. Usually it'll be very similar to what we use for news writing whenever we went through our basic media writing project and the news writing project. You're looking to credit information where you need to credit it and include content that your audience can trust. All right, up next, we are going to look at the next part of Chapter 6, Writing for the Web.